This is Dr. Blake Jones. Thank you for joining us today on our guided podcast. I'm so excited that you've joined us for this special conversation with my colleague and friend, Rachael Hudson Lanter, licensed clinical social worker. We worked on that together. Well, you worked on it. You got the license, but we have had several iterations of our relationship over the years. You were my student, my supervisee, you're my colleague, so I'm so excited to have you here with me today.
Well, thank you for having me. And you kind of had it right when you said that we worked on it together. Honestly, without your support in my whole journey, I can't imagine what it would have shaped up to be. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So proud of you. Today we're going to talk about sort of a specialized area of work that you do, and that is working with people who have disabilities and specifically mental health issues. And so you are an expert in this area, and I'm so excited to have this conversation with you. Tell me a little bit about Build Inclusion and what you do there and how you got involved in that work.
I'll try to keep that story brief. It's kind of a long, full circle moment for me. So first, a little bit about Build Inclusion. So Build Inclusion is a nonprofit based in Lexington. We specialize in supported employment. So what that means in like general broad terms is helping people feel supported in their journey toward work. So our goal is to get to know people on a really personal level and help them figure out what their skills and strengths are and translate that into job skills, and then further translate that into what kind of work really speaks to you, what would you excel at, and what kind of supports can we put in place to make you successful in that role. So it's a lot of advocacy work, not only on a like individual level with the people with disabilities that we support, but also on a community level, because we're going in to employers across the community and advocating and rewriting that narrative of what work with a disability looks like. So that's kind of how we see ourselves, mainly as a supported employment agency, but there's so much more to it. And one of the newer services that we're offering within the last couple of years is my baby, the mental health department, which we call Build Wellness. So we have the umbrella of Build Inclusion, but we have these like subcategories, and Build Wellness is our mental health services avenue. So that's a little bit about what we do. There's, again, so much more. You can learn more about us on our website, buildinclusion.org. And I'd be happy to answer more questions about it. There's so much more to it, and I feel really passionately about the work, as you were about to find out.
Yes. I love that about you.
Yeah.
Tell me how you got into this kind of, it's really sort of a specialized field in mental health work. What drew you to this field?
I guess I could tell the story of how I got here in the first place, and that's kind of like I almost stumbled into it by accident. And what I mean by that is, so when I was in my Master's of Social Work program at UK, of course we have to do your practicum placement, your internship. And I sat down and I had a really good long look at myself and what my areas of expertise at that time were. It's almost funny to look back now. And I thought, if I really want to be a strong advocate for people and provide the strongest services of my ability, I need to know more about the populations that I hope to serve. And one of the populations that I knew that my confidence was lacking was in the disability field. And so I used our little software system and looked up disability services, and Build Inclusion popped up. And I was like, I had no idea supported employment was a thing. So I took a chance, asked for an interview, met with the executive director at the time. Now she's our chief innovations and operations officer in NetJet. I had a meeting with her, and it was just mind blown at the services that Build Inclusion offered. And so I accepted a position as a practicum student and fell in love with the work. Again, I had no idea that any of this existed. So I fell in love with the work as a supported employment specialist, doing employment, working with people with disabilities, getting to know people beyond the service level, just really getting to understand who a person is regardless of disability. And then I just never left, like in the middle of my practicum placement, COVID hit. And so when they offered me a position to stay as a paid employment specialist through the summer, I was like, absolutely, I'm going to do this. And the longer I stayed, the more that I just felt like my heart was shaping up to do work in this field in some capacity. And so at the time I was still pursuing my Master's of Social Work with your support and your help. And then I pursued my LCSW certification. And I just feel like there's so many barriers to good mental health services that understand disability and the nuance and can really support people with disabilities. So I would just continue to pursue that line of thinking of like, there's got to be more, there's got to be better. So now, after, almost 6 years, I'm the executive director at Build Inclusion, and I'm also our mental health services director. So I'm still doing a little bit of the supported employment because that's my background. But I'm using what I learned as an employment specialist to really inform the care that I provide as a mental health services provider.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about kind of the special circumstances or needs that people with disabilities have. I would imagine that isolation is difficult and weighs heavy on their mental health. Talk with me about that and how that impacts people with disability.
Yeah, absolutely. I was really thinking about, before coming into this conversation, what are some of the themes that kind of emerge around the work that I do? And of course, you have the same things that everyone else has: stress, anxiety, depression, but loneliness. Loneliness comes up every single conversation. And it's really heartbreaking to know that we've created a society where that we kind of isolate people who are considered other or different. And so that isn't a theme that has emerged, and it's a societal issue that we've kind of created this space of you have extra needs, so we're just going to let you figure that out on your own. Or, we don't create inclusive spaces in our community. Our accessibility is just lacking across the board. So loneliness and isolation really presents, and it creates this cavern in ourselves of depression and loneliness. And
COVID didn't help that.
And COVID exacerbated it tenfold. Yes, yeah. And we know that, our general population, what is it, like a quarter of people are likely to experience depression at any given time. Now imagine that people with disabilities are 5 times more likely than even that general number to experience depression, anxiety, or some sort of mental health. And it's really pushed by isolation and loneliness and not being heard or seen for who you are as a person. So that little kernel there is all you need to know about my passion for why this is such an important niche area to fall into.
Yeah. And I think it's one that a lot of therapists are uncomfortable with. We struggle because we don't really know what to do or how to do it. You and I have talked about, I have a nephew whose name's Alex, and I'm going to send this to him to watch. So this is something that he'll laugh about. But
Hi, Alex.
Hello, Alex. I just love that kid. He's not a kid anymore. He's like in his 20s now. But when he was a teenager, younger adolescent, my sister called me up and said, Alex is just being so rebellious right now. I don't understand this. What should I do? We've kind of talked about it, but it just reminds me that people with disabilities go through these developmental stages just like everyone else does. And so how do you sort out, acknowledging that developmental stage that they're in versus giving some space for the disability? Curious about that.
Well, I think you just kind of hit the nail on the head there. You acknowledge that both exist at the same time. And that's the thing is something that we do as social workers is meeting people where they are. But also I feel like that's especially important in the disability community is you are meeting that person where they are, and it is for you and them to develop a personal relationship to sort out all the things that are going through their mind and in their experience. And I think that's pretty much it. You pretty much answered your own question, that saving space for both at the same time, understanding okay, well, at that time Alex was a teenager, so if he didn't rebel, it'd be a little weird, right? But also figuring out how to support him in a way that is accessible to him and makes sense to him. So knowing that how his disability presents and how he feels best supported. So it's okay, you're dealing with this very universal teenage situation, so let's support it in a way that makes sense to you. So coming at it with understanding and patience the way you would anybody. But extending that grace and making sure that people know that I see you. I'm not looking at just your disability. I'm not looking at you as just a disabled person. I'm looking at you as a person with a disability.
Yeah, that's so powerful because I think that can go along the continuum of we completely excuse behavior sometimes
Right.
because someone has a disability versus we're harder or we discriminate against them somehow. But through all of that, there's this humanity in them that we need to see and support in our work.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that's actually something that we look at a lot in the employment sector of things, is that continuum of, like, you have on one hand people who expect perfection. It's like, I gave you a chance, you be perfect. And we don't extend enough grace because it's like, well, if you mess up one time, oh, clearly you can't do this. It's like, okay, well, what about if I didn't have a disability? If I messed up, what would you say then? Or on the other hand, you have people who are like, oh, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's
You
okay
can't
if you
do
don't
that
do.
anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's okay. Don't worry about it if you mess up. Don't try. Like, we accept this. We don't push. So finding that balance of, like, I extend grace and understanding when there are mistakes, but I also expect you to want to be here, to show up for yourself, to do your absolute best. So that's a little bit of, like, a nugget that I carry from my employment specialist days into my work, is like, okay, I'm not just gonna nod and say, oh, it's okay to every little thing, because there are times where it's like okay to call somebody out, just like you would in any other session, calling somebody out when you see something, while also extending the grace and understanding that, like, it may take a little bit more grace, it might take a little bit more pushing, but I want you to be your best, and I want you to know I'm here for you during that time of adjustment.
Yeah. So what are some of the common mental health issues that you see in your work?
Yeah. Well, like I mentioned earlier, you see stress, anxiety, depression, and loneliness. But I also see an emerging theme of the desire for relationships. As you would, everybody kind of desires some sort of relationship, whether that's platonic or romantic, but not having the skills or the opportunity or the encouragement to pursue that. So you and I have joked over the years at how do we become the people that people come to for certain, like, sensitive topics?
Right,
That comes
yeah.
up a lot for me too.
Yeah.
That people are like, well, I really want a boyfriend or a girlfriend, and I
Yeah.
have no idea how to do that. Nobody's ever talked to me about that. Nobody's ever told me that's okay. Or we explore themes of sex and sexual identification and gender identity. That comes up a lot too, giving people permission to be themselves and explore that identity in a safe space with somebody who's like, yeah, let's talk
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
Let's not shy away from the scary stuff. Like, because I think this is a bigger overarching theme in my work, and something that I'm pursuing as growing in my practice is, like, talking about creating a safe space for talking about sex education. Again, that's something you and I have talked about a lot
Yeah.
over the years, that we became the people that people come to for that. But giving people a space where, like, nobody's ever talked to them about their bodies or their desires or how to safely engage in romantic relationships. And that's something that I'm personally looking to expand. Actually, I'm looking at taking a training certification in January about how to be a more open-minded and accessible practice in that way, as, like, expanding sex education for people with disabilities who want to learn more about it.
Yeah. So it's not so taboo, or
Right.
it's not so shame-based. It's because there's enough shame, I would think, in people, especially with physical disabilities around their body and so forth. And so we don't want to shame them even more when they're curious or interested in sex and relationships and Yeah.
It's an area that we see across the board. People with disabilities are often infantilized and treated as children, and that's a specific way that people are kind of told, like, if I see you as a child, I don't want to think about you in a sexual capacity. And it's like, people have biological needs and physical desires and emotional desires for connection in that way. And disability or no, you're allowed to have those feelings and you're allowed to want that. So creating a space where people not only it's acknowledged, like, yeah, you can have those desires, and let's talk about how you can pursue that in a safe way. It's obviously something I'm, like, very passionate about.
Yeah.
But talking about, like, let's take away the shame, let's take away the taboo image around it. Let's talk about how to make this, normalized for people.
Yeah. That's what I tell people that come to see me and they're sort of, bashfully I want to talk about a sexual issue or whatever. It's like, let's do it. If you can't do that in a therapist's office and let's just talk about it. And, anything We can talk about anything in here, literally anything, and it's okay.
Yeah.
And we'll figure it out, And I think there's some relief that comes with people that could just sort of let their guards down. And I would also say healthy sexuality is the goal.
Exactly.
And so there's a lot of very unhealthy sexual practices with people who are able-bodied and not, and have a disability as well. So, we need to normalize that conversation as well.
Absolutely. And going back to what you just said about like offering space for people to talk about literally anything in therapy context where you're like, I'm here with you. I'm in this moment. I see you. I feel you. Let's dive in. Giving people permission to truly express their thoughts. Like that is something that gives such power to anybody in a therapy context, but especially people who have been told their whole lives, like, oh, you don't really have much going on. It's fine, or like told that they don't have bigger issues to talk about, or just assumed that there wasn't deeper stuff going on behind our eyelids, So giving people that power and that permission to like, okay, now what's going on? Let's really talk about it. I hear you and I want to hear you. Yeah. That is such powerful, powerful work.
Yeah, absolutely. There are a lot of therapists that watch this podcast, and so I wonder if you could give 2 or 3 just pro tips if people are wanting to delve into this more, or maybe just even feel more comfortable in working, being culturally competent to work with people with disabilities. What would you tell the therapists watching this podcast?
Yeah. Well, one is don't shy away from it. People are people. It doesn't matter what you look like, what you sound like, any issue. People are just people. And to be comfortable connecting with people on a deeper level, like that's such a skill and a gift. Use it. So that's like my first thing is like, don't look away, don't shy away, just own it. There's also ways to have a more accessible practice. So like, just like not even talking about accessibility in a physical sense. Of course, you want a practice that's physically accessible, with accessible entrances and bathrooms and a space that feels welcoming to all people and all bodies, but also accessible in like the intellectual capacity. So when you talking to people in layman's terms and everyday language and giving space, again, back to the whole concept of meeting people where they are, giving space and that ebb and flow and that conversation to make sure that people understand what you're asking of them and to recognize what they're asking of you as the therapist. Another resource that I really love, her name is Dr. Rhoda Olkin. She is a clinical psychologist. She's a researcher, a professor, and author. She, at one point, I'm not sure if she's still married, but she was a spouse. She's a mother. Incredible work. And she also has disabilities herself. So she's talked about her experience, her lived experience with disability, but also in the context of clinical psychology within the therapy context. She's written several amazing books, articles. She gives trainings. I was introduced to her. I think I found her on the training modules in Simple Practice or something like that. And after that, like, mind blown. Yeah. So if you're interested in learning more about the work from somebody who's like top dog in the field, she's a good resource.
Yeah, great. And I hope that you will do some more trainings and things. I know you've done some trainings with our practice, and they were wonderful. And I just, I think it's such an important conversation. You've talked a little bit about employers, and I wonder if you could say just a bit more, if there are just like 1 or 2 things that employers could do to support the work that you do at Build Inclusion, what would that be?
Absolutely. That's such a good question. One thing that I always like have in the back of my mind when I'm going in to talk to employers for the first time is like kind of silently praying that someone will just like have an open mind and give someone a chance. That's really all we're asking for as employment specialists is like just give somebody a chance. If it doesn't work out, oh well, but we put in an effort. So if there are any employers out there, just giving somebody a chance and being open to making some adjustments if necessary. So of course we have the ADA governs accessibility requirements and also accommodations that people are entitled to. So being open-minded about what accommodations you can make so that you as an employer are supporting your employees. Everyone has value, and finding a place where somebody's value can be seen and truly brought to life right, that's what we're looking for. That's like the perfect match. So just being open-minded about giving somebody a chance in the first place and then giving them the support that they need to really flourish. And again, if it doesn't work out, knowing you gave your best shot and not being closed-minded about the next person that you want to give a chance to.
Yeah, and you all provide lots of support for them along the way. I know you check in on them, you meet with them, you make sure that they show up sometimes for work and are doing okay. So that's a win-win, I would think, for employers, because they've got you guys, sort of supporting them. Yeah.
It's like we like to say, like, obviously our the technical term is client, but the people that we support, that's our main focus. But we're also an added bonus. Like, we're supporting you as an employer as you support the person we're also supporting. So it really is kind of like a triangle of support where everybody is equally invested in this person's success, which means if this person is successful in their role, then we've added value and we've added more success to the business overall. So it's a really fun job, and it's really rewarding because we're helping people kind of chase their dreams. And that's something else I talk about. Like, that is like my passion as well, is helping other people figure out what their dreams are and chase those dreams.
Yeah. Well, it's been so good to talk with you again. You and I don't get to see each other as much as I would like to, and I'm just so proud of you. And
thank you.
And you just have just flourished as a therapist, as a executive director, and just mom. You've got some little ones running around, and husband that are I don't know how you keep everything happening in your life.
When I figure it out, I'll let you know.
You're always smiling for some reason. I'm not sure what that's about, but
because even if I'm doing too much, I love all the things that I do. Okay. That's the key. And that's why, like, I'm practicing when I preach here, when I'm helping other people find jobs or find roles that they love. I'm like, I'm a crazy person who says yes to everything, but I love it. I feel really strongly about all the roles that I have. So that's how you do it.
Yeah.
You just love everything.
And you pack your kids up and take them, to where, Colorado or something, or the beach, or,
self-care, friends, self-care.
Traveling. You're the traveling family.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to see you. Give us a shout out one more time to Build Inclusion. What is your website? How do people reach you?
Yeah, so me personally, you can reach out to me at Rachael. It's RACHAEL at buildinclusion.org. Or our website is just buildinclusion.org, and you can do a contact us through there. Learning more about what we do on our website will be the easiest way. And then we, of course, are on Facebook and Instagram. So learning more about the work that we do and the events that we're hosting. That's another way people can be involved, is we have community events once a month where we just extend an invitation to the community to come out and do something fun. And it's an inclusive space. We want everyone to feel welcome to join. So getting involved that way is good.
Yeah. So, and you also do some work with the Compass Center and have for a few years. CompassCenterKY.com. You can find Rachel's bio, and she's a wonderful therapist.
Thank you.
Excellent. Just very proud of you. So.
Well, I've had a good mentor over the years.
Just like I wrote it. Thank you. Well, this has been the Guided Podcast. This is Dr. Blake Jones, and I hope you'll take care along the way.